Welcome back to Money with Mac and G. Hey, we have a special guest today on our show who is Sara Lyday, who's the redheaded Christina Aguilera, and she's a financial advisor. We have somebody that's just a little bit younger, female, we'd like to bring on the show because when we talk about money, we want to make sure that everybody knows that you don't have to have a special look or way or age or anything in order to be able to handle money. How are you doing today, Sara?
Doing really well. I just want to clarify for the audience out there that I'm not the redheaded Christina Aguilera because I can sing. It's just because I have these cool headphones on and a mic in front of me. So I'll spare you guys the falsetto. But
as you can tell right out of the gate, yes, Sara is animated and a lot of fun to talk to. So we're really happy that you're here. And we still have our Ed McMahon of Money with Mac and G. And then that's Mr. Tony Petro. And so he likes to join us as we go on. You were a little late today, Tony. Is everything okay?
Everything was good. Just a little brainstorm session down at 16 Tech, downtown Indy. It was really kind of cool. Anyway, we'll talk about that later.
Can't stop the flow.
No, can't stop it.
Once you turn on the brain, you just can't turn it off, huh?
Well, you can dumb it down a little bit, though. And unfortunately, you didn't bring me wine today, so...
It's probably good, but it's before... Oh, it's right afternoon. All right, I should have. But
5 o'clock somewhere.
Hey, next time we will definitely get onto that.
Barcelona.
Está bien. So, Sara, let's hear just a little bit about your background because we had your father in here, what was it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, who's a financial advisor. He had a very interesting story, and you and I were going over just lots of different things upstairs, and maybe we can get to some of that, and you can tell us a little bit about your background. You're one of 4. And you can kind of go from there.
Sure. Yeah. Not a redheaded thing, but the apple falling not too far from the tree is my life story right now. Like you said, I'm the oldest of 4. Grew up about 20 minutes from here, Indiana, born and raised. I think being a big sister is very ingrained into who I am. I don't think anyone else in my family could have been the big sister of my family. But I couldn't have been the youngest or the middle or anything like that either. So that's definitely a big part of who I am. And I feel like it's kind of extended.
Because we talk about me being number 4 out of 6, and I'm a little bit more the peacemaker and the one that actually says things right between your eyes so that,
that's good.
Stop being a jerk. And this is why. So,
yeah.
But you, because you're telling me you like to direct people. You like to get out there and get in the melee.
I am the girl with the clipboard. I've had one since I was 5 and had all my stickers on it. I was just telling you Redbubble is the coolest place just to find new stickers. But
and Redbubble, a buck a shot. So like the kids, Mac and G, they like stickers and they like to see new ones. And I guess you can go to Redbubble and see all kinds of really cool ones out there.
The artists just can post. But yeah, so a little bit more about my childhood, I guess, and comparing and contrasting. Tell me where you want me to go.
What kind of stuff when you were like really young did you get into studying? What were you kind of more of a reader or more of math or what?
Because we like to hear the background because there are insights into the background which get you to the point that you're at today.
Yeah. Okay. So I was telling you about how my binder and my clipboard and all of this stuff. So I have always been pretty organized. I'm a Virgo if you're into astrology at all, but I had like a tab for how to eat well and what snacks I liked, and I had good workouts to do and all this stuff.
You should have been named after your mother. Julie, the cruise director.
Oh my gosh, no. Julie was...
Just the name.
Julie's disco playlist was the hit in carpool. At 7 a.m., she is bumping to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Hey, all right.
Oh my gosh, but...
That would have got you going for your day, huh?
Oh yeah. We were so embarrassed, of course.
But now when you look back, it's like a great memory, isn't it?
Good job, Mom. You did a good job. You have to embarrass us. But the lady across the street, Mrs. Laughlin, they had that big Irish Catholic family, 9 kids.
I thought it was 22 children, but...
It feels like that. It always felt like there's 22 children at our house at any given moment, but she had a 15-passenger van that my mom would drive us to school in, and they would switch off days. And on Halloween, Colleen and my mom would dress up as something, but the best one was whenever Colleen dressed up as a limo driver and picked us up individually from our classes at at grade school, and we were all mortified. All the other kids are laughing, dying, and like, oh, that's so cool. And we are just like, get us out of here. Of course, she's in the front. But
so it sounds like you had a pretty fun childhood.
Never a dull moment.
You were very visual because you were doing, visualization, visual boarding way before it was kind of cool, right?
Yep. Yeah. So that going back to that binder, I always had a plan for everything. And I talk loud, and the reason I do that, and the reason I feel like I have to be organized, because if you don't talk or you don't have something to say, you're not going to be heard.
Yep.
With so many people around. So in my quest for health, I think I've always been really geared that way.
And she likes my sister, your wife. She likes that homeopathic thing.
Oh, she's the coolest. She is the coolest.
Well, my eating habits have changed.
Yeah.
You've lost a lot of weight.
It's good for me.
Yes, it is. It is.
But yeah, so there's financial wellness, there's like your physical wellness, your dietary wellness, and spiritual wellness, and all of that. And I was very comfortable looking at food and exercise. I played sports all growing up. Was raised Catholic, so I knew God was in my corner, which was
And
helpful.
you felt guilty a lot of the times, right?
All the time.
It comes with it. We got it.
My spirituality has since evolved, but I feel very loved now, fortunately. But
this is pretty cool because, and I know I'm kind of setting you up, but
Sure.
you have this well-rounded way that you look at the world, right?
Sure.
And we talk a lot about, one, it's not a direct path to where you're at right now, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But having that well-roundedness, you're just a person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're going to get into financial planning. We'll get there. But it's just so interesting because we're trying to take down some of the barriers of people getting all anxious about, handling money. And, you're just a normal person who got into financial advising, and it's kind of just fun to hear your background story. So
yeah, 1,000%. Big hats off to my parents for being really great about taking us to go to parks and go to the museum and go listen to different music. Shout out Julie's disco playlist again. But they really did a lot to expose us to a lot of different things. And there's so much to be said about different centers of intelligence, which we were talking about.
Right.
There's the head intelligence, the heart intelligence, and the gut intelligence.
Right.
And so it's what feels good, what sounds good, what tastes good, all of these things. And you can find success in just following what feels good, I think. And what led me to finance a little bit was I was kind of afraid of it. I didn't know what to do.
So can you back up just a little bit into
Sure.
when you were younger? Did your dad, was he forcing it down your throat when you were growing up?
Quite the contrary. He was always just don't worry about money. You got to follow the 3 basic principles,
Oh my
which
God.
I'm sure you heard the podcast, but I've heard these 1,000 times. Don't spend more than what you make. Even when I was a child and I was playing with grass, so I was I filled my little Tykes plastic car with grass. I don't have coins. But don't spend more money than you make. Don't rack up bad debt, and have an emergency fund. Have a backup. Savings are good. Put it away. Pay yourself first.
So starters, if you got those done from the starters,
Yeah.
he kept telling you, from what you told me, is that you're going to be okay then.
Don't worry about it. And I was like, Dad, I know there's more. I know there's stocks and bonds and mutual funds, and there's something called options. I guess it seems like gambling. Why aren't you telling me I'm smart enough to handle this? And so I thought I was dumb because he didn't go into the minutia.
So he didn't talk about meme stocks when you were 12?
Oh my gosh. As much as I wanted him to, no. My mom probably was not at the dinner table.
Did they have memes when you were 12?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
We had
pretty new.
gel pens and Liz Frank binders, which I loved, obviously.
But it just goes to show that if you just follow those 3, you can either get help for the stocks and bonds and options and all that stuff, or, you learn it. And so we're trying to demystify stuff. So I love that he started that way, which was very simple.
Yeah, there's so much. There's no shortage of depth that you can get into.
Yes.
But knowing more isn't always better. Being smart doesn't always save you from stupid.
Why is she looking at you, Tony?
I'm just thinking
Is that
about.
relatable?
I'm just thinking about people who maybe have wrecked a golf cart before, and like, man, I've seen smart people do that before.
I'm not saying nothing.
And you've told me some other stories about very smart people having big red things on their head and all that other stuff falling down on their head. But so he didn't really force it down your throat.
Not at all. Quite the contrary. He would answer questions if we had them, but we kind of had to come with specific questions.
Gotcha.
But where that led me, I felt the feeling matters, right? So your mind can tell you one thing, but your heart might say something else. And I was scared because I didn't know. And so that kind of led me on the path of, okay, if there's a monster in your closet, it's usually scarier if you're just sitting in your bed at night and like, oh,
worried about it.
What's under my bed? Like, what's in the closet? Like, I just want to look at it. And if you open the door, 9 times out of 10, there's nothing in there. But if there actually is a monster that you're looking at or something that you're afraid of, if you look at it, it gets a little less scary. So
it's imagined fear.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the time fear is an illusion, but just because it's not tangible doesn't make it not scary.
How old are you? I don't even know this stuff.
But books, I've talked to...
I need my dad and my mom to teach me some of this stuff. Maybe they still can.
Yeah.
But what was who did that quote? The only thing to fear is fear itself. Was that Winston Churchill? I don't know why I'm thinking that, but it may not have been.
I think he gets attributed to about 70% of the cool quotes out there.
I just read a book it was like a historical fiction book about his mom, who was apparently an icon and a socialite, and she really kind of paved the way and opened the doors for Winston's father, and then Winston.
It was fiction or nonfiction?
Historical fiction. So just grains they color in the lines. I think.
Is it JFK?
Who knows why he's
I'm going to look it up. You guys keep going.
Winston Churchill?
No, but
JFK, that quote.
The quote, yeah.
There's something really interesting about Churchill, not to get too far off, but he like lost, he had tried to be the prime minister, I think like 8 times and lost 7. And then finally got one. Everybody's like, oh, he's hugely successful. It's like, no, he got pounded over and over and over until he did it.
FDR.
Oh, Franklin
I knew it was
Delano.
one of those 3-letter presidents. I just couldn't remember which one.
FDR said that. Only thing to fear is fear itself. Got it.
Okay.
Learned something new.
Nice.
So you're sitting there just talking about the fear, even though it's not real.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you don't feel it. Right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sure when you're talking to some of your clients, it's the same thing. It's like, I'm afraid it's going to do something. And, you walk them through that. And we talked a little bit about robo-advisors. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place.
Yeah, by all means.
But the robo-advisors, we're really afraid, oh my gosh, they're going to take over your job, which is a robo-advisor takes your information and then gives you information about how to
It's kind of a plug and chug.
Yeah.
I mean, not a person, but a computer program.
A robot, a robo-advisor.
Well, it could be an app. It could be the internet. It could be Instagram. It can be whatever. And in all truth, I have apps. I have planning apps. I follow financial bloggers, and I get a lot from the internet, and I get a lot from books.
Absolutely.
And I would be silly not to. But the reason I'm not afraid of financial advisors going anywhere or my job going anywhere is the human element, which is the most important.
The tie-in, right?
So
they can't tell you not to be fearful or how you get out of being fearful, at least right now. But
that quote of it's not the markets that we need to be afraid of. The risk isn't so much there. There is risk there.
Oh, absolutely.
But the greatest risk is in people and erratic behavior.
How they react to.
Yeah, it's how well are you able to make a plan and stick to it? And you can really do a lot with that. And then that kind of helps with the fear or the not knowing or so the X, Y, or Z just happened. And it's not how can I fix X, Y, or Z because you have no control over what happens in X, Y, and Z in the external world. But what you can do is make a plan. And then you can kind of tinker with the plan and how do I feel about the plan? And is this fear talking? Is this logic talking? What's going on here? So that is a more tangible like, I'm going to control what I can kind of thing, which is why you make the workout plans. That's why you go make the diets. That's
because when you stick to them, you actually reach those goals, right?
So
it's
school,
more trackable.
You like philosophy or psychology better because that applies more than numbers.
So to go all the way back around to what we originally were talking about of like, how did I start my family and who did I want to be when I grew up?
Right.
I spent a lot of time banging my head against the wall as how old am I? Like, I don't know if I was an 8-year-old that was born into a 90-year-old's body, but that's not true because 90-year-olds they understand that life has its circles and its twists and its turns. But whenever I was a little bit younger, I'm still young, I know, but maybe a younger soul, I was so worried about my purpose in life and if I was going to be successful, and being successful to me meant lovable, and I didn't realize that at first, so I felt like I had to get the titles and the names and I had to make XYZ amount of money to be someone that my parents could love. And my parents are so loving. Like, my mom would stand behind me in our mirrors whenever we were getting ready for school in the morning and say, "You're beautiful and everybody loves you." And she would write it in dry erase marker on our mirrors. I kid you not. But some nagging voice in my head was just like, they're just lying. Like, they're just saying this so I'll be successful. So I felt like I needed to know what I was going to do.
Do we need to get her mom on here next?
Oh my God, she's the most fun person you'll ever talk to. She's awesome.
She redhead too?
She is not.
Okay.
But
well, I mean, you get that.
Nonetheless.
I get that a little bit growing up. It's like, oh, my parents are just saying that because you're supposed to say it.
Yeah.
And so now you got doubt, even when you're hearing it from somebody you trust. Like, then you still get that doubt.
And they're doing all of these things all the time to make sure that you're okay and you're happy and you're taken care of and you're fed and there's a roof over your head and you have siblings and friends and all of these things. But I was like, but really the pin in the the pin in the grenade or whatever, the pin in something is if I make them proud and I make money and I have a good title.
I think a lot of us think about that, right? You want to make your parents. I mean, we talk about your brother a little bit, and it's like he wants to be proud and he wants people to be proud of him, like I do.
Having all those siblings, you're looking around and you're like, okay, who's going to do it? Like, who's going to get the best job, therefore be the most loved? But
there's a lot of competition. You got to stand out.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I decided to grow 6 feet tall and have red hair.
I think there are a lot of aspiring basketball players who are going to want to listen to the way you got there.
You got to the 6 foot.
But I don't even know.
My dad always told me, he goes, "You know why you turned out so tall?" "No, why?" "Because I always had to kick you in the butt when you're little."
I can believe that.
That could be what happened. You might have blocked that out.
Maybe, honestly. Yeah. I'm not going to rule it out entirely. But you should have my mom on. Figure out the answer for all of us.
we may have to do that.
But yeah, my path to figuring out what I wanted to do and why was around and around and around. But I thought that I was going to be... First off, I wanted to be a singer or a teacher. I wanted to be a rock star. So I guess I kind of get to be that right now.
Hannah Montana.
Hannah Montana. Christina Aguilera.
You could have been. I'm sorry, but I was just saying, you could be both.
A double life, yeah. But I wanted to be a rock star and a teacher.
So how did you go into communications then?
So just because I talk a lot.
I could get an A+ in that class.
I went to IU and originally went to the Kelley School of Business.
Okay.
Because I was like, titles, like, it's one of the best business schools in the country. Amazing. This will make them love me for sure. But so I went in and people were wearing suits to class, or like everyone had Greek letters on.
Things have changed.
I was like, I don't know. Like, I really want to be like the flower child with the floaty skirt and the tank top that I made. Like, this feels weird. So I started taking other classes in the liberal arts side of IU. And found communication and cultural studies. And I had this amazing professor, shout out Philip Purdue. And if Portland was embodied in a man, it would be Philip Purdue. But he wore one of those golf hats every day. He was probably mid-30s and had a lamb chop sideburn situation going. And he let his friend do a tattoo on him that was supposed to be the tree of life on his forearm, but it looked like a decaying piece of broccoli. And this was his introduction to our class. He's like, so I got the barbed wire around my wrist to kind of like cage in the broccoli tree. And I was like, this is all cool. But then he started talking about how our vocabulary shapes our lives and the words that we use affect
Words are
how
powerful.
we feel about ourselves.
Sure.
And the rhetoric of architecture and how the places that we inhabit and the people we surround ourselves with interact with our different levels of intelligence. And what does that mean? And a tree is only a tree because you and me and all our teachers taught us it was that. And when we all agree as a society that a tree is the brown sticky thing with the leaves growing out of it. And I was like, whoa.
But that made
I feel
you
like I just had the blue pill. Like, Kelly, you're cool, but like you're going to be
Matrix.
my minor now. And so I was like, I want to figure
architecture
out.
Architecture does make you feel different, right?
It does.
If you're in a really high class building that's different from, like we were talking about Barcelona with Gaudi. I think you were talking about Czech Republic.
Yeah.
And
I mean, if you step into like standing on a cornfield or standing in the World War II memorial or standing where the Twin Towers crashed, like you don't have to talk to anyone.
Very different.
You could be dropped from wherever or in a childhood bedroom. Like you're going to feel something different regardless of who you interact with there.
Right.
So this kind of circles back to the follow how you feel and follow what feels good and follow for whatever
to choose
reason.
your path.
Yeah. And it doesn't always have to be light and sunny, but like, for example, reading about history, there's a lot of darkness there, but it feels important to read about it.
It just draws you to it, and you just feel it. And so you go into communications, get this great teacher, get you all excited about communications.
Yeah, and then college ends, and you're like, everyone communicates. Like, what am I supposed to do with a communication degree? Like, I could go anywhere and nowhere. Like, it's not neuroscience where you got to go to a hospital and either research, you're either going to clinicals or research or wherever. There's a narrower path there. But I was like, what am I going to do? So I was like, back to square one. Am I lovable if I don't have a job or don't know what I'm supposed to do? But my parents were supportive and they were just like, just follow how you feel. And so I took a job out of school. I was like, I just did a sales job, like a cold calling sales job. I called 400 people a day, every day.
Whoa.
And my sales cycle reset every 2 weeks. So I didn't know if I was going to have a job every 2 weeks, like it reset. You could have had brutal. A killer week or 2 weeks, did a personal best and then be on probation 2 weeks later. Like, it was nuts. I did that for a year and a half and I woke up in my bed one day when I was 22 and I was like, I'm waking up from stress. Like, why am I doing this? So I quit my job and I did a month-long yoga teacher training in Aruba. And I was like, I'm going to find myself. I'm going to do a mini retirement for 3 weeks and then come back
3 weeks mini retirement.
Hit the ground running, revitalized and spiritually enlightened. And spiritual enlightenment didn't happen, but I met an amazing community of people that believed in me and loved me without having to necessarily understand me.
In Aruba?
In Aruba, yeah.
So just people that you met there, were they from all over the world?
All over the world. The woman who hosted it was from Sweden and met her husband in Aruba and they had a daughter and opened up a studio there. Her daughter, I think it's so cool that they integrated, and this actually will come back to why I picked my job that I have now.
Right.
Her 3-year-old was running around the studio with her at all times. So she is a full-time business owner and full-time mom at the same time. And her daughter and having her family there really made everything better. And it wasn't a give or a take. It was all the cake and a soda on the side.
Just synergistically, it's like made her life better.
Beautiful. And they had a dog rescue too because she wanted to be she was an animal lover and also a philanthropist. So, and the dogs came to our, we helped out with the dogs and the dogs came and helped us. And
so it was like dog yoga? Or is it?
No, but during our
goat
lunch
yoga
hour,
is
that
just
would
so
be cool.
weird. But anyway,
there's a cultural appropriation thing
Downward
that kind of
dog.
happens there.
What's that?
Downward dog.
Downward dog.
Downward dog. Yeah,
that's a key one.
The dog invented that, actually.
Yeah, they're so good.
They invented
so
yoga.
Good. Yeah,
they kind of got limited though. They couldn't do all
the baby pose. Got invented by baby.
Eagle arms.
The warrior. Sun worshiper. Whatever.
Can you imagine?
That's hard to do for a dog.
I would love to see it. The tree pose, Oh, that's
So
awesome.
that's great. That's like a great twist. I love that. Going to Aruba.
Yeah.
And remember, Tony, we talk about this every time we talk to somebody. It's like you're not on a direct path.
Oh my gosh. So
And it just
indirect.
changes and you go all over the place.
Well, they had signs every day that they would change out. And my favorite one that I ended up coming home and making my own version of it. And it's hanging in my house. But you're exactly where you're meant to be right now.
Yeah, that's good.
And no matter where you are, like you are meant to be where you are. So
She's like, I feel like she's.
How old are you again?
Yeah.
I'm 26.
Okay.
I think I'm on my 4th reincarnation. She's on her 40th.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
a child in this conversation.
She was 40 when she was 20. You know what I mean? Like
But
mentally.
what I will say, so I was just having this conversation with one of my friends, and I was like, 20. Somebody asked, how old would you be if you weren't your age? And I was like, you know what? I feel like 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s are like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior years of high school,
Yep.
where it's like freshmen and so 20-year-olds
You're not a senior. What's beyond senior? Can you tell him?
just
Maybe
Nirvana.
it's me, Nirvana. But
Okay,
actually,
Nirvana.
I was going to answer the question because my wife and I have this conversation all the time. Like, how old are you? I'm 22.
Yeah.
I'm always 22. She's like, "Are you ever going to mature?" I'm like, "No."
You
I said,
picked
and
me.
this is what you had during the dating process. The funny thing is a lot of times women
Think.
hope that their husbands will change.
Yes.
And the
Hope or
husbands
think.
hope their wives won't change.
Yes.
And they're both wrong.
Yes, exactly.
I'm not married, so I'll take this one to the bank.
There you go.
Put
There-
this
see, I have to
right-
teach you
right
something
in
today.
there.
Put that down there deep.
She's been teaching me. I had to give you that little nugget there.
I appreciate that.
So 20, 30, 40, 50.
So 20 freshman-year-olds. Coin it.
Coin it.
I'm putting that in an
Hashtag.
NFT right now.
NFT. But okay, so freshmen, you show up
Mm-hmm.
and here to all you kids and that are about to go on to high school or college. Freshmen don't know what they're talking about. You won't
Right.
know what you're talking about. You won't know where you fit in yet, but you have to pretend like you do.
Right.
Things are hard.
Very true.
Everyone's pretending like everything's so easy. I went to IU and I was so used to being one of the smartest people in my class, and not having to try very hard. But I went to IU and I was like, shoot, everyone's pretty smart here. Like,
Yeah.
I've got to start trying. Like, this is crazy. Why isn't everyone else freaking out?
Game up, baby.
But I was like, okay, but I'm going to be cool so I get invited to the parties and people don't think I'm a total weirdo, which I totally am. But then sophomores are like, psh, we know it's hard. Like, it's all hard, but at least we're not freshmen. Like, sophomores get this confidence that's like, we don't know what we're talking about either, but we know that we don't know what we're talking about and we don't have to, but at least we're not freshmen. Like, 30-year-olds, like, have it figured. They're like, we finally realized that not everyone knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing or how they're supposed to be or whatever, but we're all on a path and you're exactly where you're meant to be.
Did you take your etymology class? Sophomore consists of two different root
Sophomore.
words.
I
What's
didn't ever
that?
take etymology.
Sophomore means
I don't even know
wise
if I can say
fool.
that.
If you
Wise
break it down
fool?
into the roots, yeah, like they're starting to get smart, but they're still a fool.
A wise fool.
A
Yeah.
wise fool.
That's cool. I like that too. I'll have to write that one down.
So most 30-year-olds then are wise fools. I'm just
Yeah.
going on record.
That.
They
Most,
know
not
enough.
all of them.
There's
not
like a
you.
confidence
You're fine.
that comes with that. Yeah. And then 40, I feel like you're established and juniors are like, yeah, I'm established. I have one more year. I have time to figure out what I'm going to do after this. There's just like joy. You've got your friend group. You are jiving. You've got your kids. You've got your house. You've got whatever. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. Typically, I feel like I'm stereotyping and stereotyping never fits everyone. But generally, I feel like 40-year-olds are like, oh, I don't have to stress about the stuff I was stressing out about at 20. And then 50-year-olds are like seniors. They're just like coasting. They're like, I got this figured out. I'm going to do what I like to do, ideally.
That's Ben.
They say
Right?
50 is actually one of the
I've seen
best ages, like
See
the
the
biggest
world,
amount
or
of
I can go
joy.
see the world.
You know that you're not missing as much as you thought you were missing when you were 20. It's like you're comfortable with your stuff. So
Usually your kids are kind of getting on their own, so you don't have to take care of them.
unlike me,
It's not quite the,
12-year-old
like,
kids.
Ben's really in his 40s.
Grind,
And
yeah.
that
But I don't know. I am very much in my 20s because I'm still having those existential loops of just like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? But
So you get out of school,
so I get out of
then you turn
school,
around and say,
turn around.
work. Sarah has a fun and unique view on the world. She's in her mid-20s and, like many of us, she didn't have it all figured out at that age. She wanted to be a rock star or a teacher, which is awesome. However, after a stressful sales job, she took a mini retirement in Aruba to become a yoga instructor. How does she become a financial advisor from here? It just goes to show that financial advisors aren't necessarily born that way. They're just like us. Come back next week to hear the rest of her story with some insights she's gleaned from her experience. See you then.